Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Holy moly, the dot plot is out. And boy, is it a little bit of a shocker in both directions here. I think everyone is a little shocked on this dot plot here. Let's go ahead and break it down right now. So you're looking at a couple different things here. Change in real GDP here, the unemployment rate, the PCE inflation, and core PCE inflation. Now, this first chart is the one you really want to look at. It is the median estimate, so what the Fed is really forecasting. And this bottom column here, under all of these separate columns, is the previous dot plot projection, so you can compare what changed. So for 2024, the GDP estimates went way higher, from 1.4% in December to 2.1%, so higher real growth in the economy. The unemployment rate was revised lower, from 4.1% to 4%. The PCE inflation stayed at 2.4%, but core PCE inflation went higher, from 2.4 to 2.6. Ugh, that's not great. Okay, the federal funds rate projection by the end of this year stayed the same at 4.6%. So the Fed is still pricing in 3 rate cuts in 2024. I was wrong there. I didn't expect that. Okay, that really caught me off guard a little bit, off sides. Now, okay, I guess that's a little bullish. 3 rate cuts still in 2024. That's great. Look at 2025. GDP went from 1.8 to 2%. Stronger growth in the economy expected. Unemployment rate stayed at 4.1%. PCE inflation was revised higher from 2.1 to 2.2, and core PCE inflation is expected at 2.2. Here's where the bears really take the cake in this dot plot. The 2025 federal funds rate was previously 3.6%, expected by the end of 2025. That was in the December 13th summary of economic projections. They revised that up to 3.9. So now you're only expecting 2 rate cuts in 2025. So you're unpricing essentially from the Fed, 1 more additional rate cut in 2025. So less cuts in 2025. But this is where things get potentially really negative. And we need more clarity on this. But it is the longer term interest rate. So the neutral rate just went higher from 2.5% to 2.6%. Not a huge change up, but it's the first time the Fed has changed this in a very long time. That's not great. So it's really showing we're not going back to easy policy for a long time. And if you really want a summary here from the trading community, from Mojo Crypto here, he says, number 1, Fed leaves rates unchanged for the 5th straight meeting. Number 2, Fed continues to expect 3 interest rate cuts in 2024. Number 3, core PC inflation forecast for 2024 raised to 2.6%. Number 4, Fed says inflation has eased but remains elevated. Number 5, Fed does not expect rate cuts until greater confidence inflation is moving to 2%. So we still don't know the timeline on these cuts. And number 6, the Fed now only sees 2 rate cuts in 2025, fewer cuts in 2026. And again, the only thing I would add to that summary is the longer term interest rate, the neutral rate, that's what it's called, neutral rate, just went up as well, the first time in a long time. So the initial reading is the markets are a little bullish on this, but you want to be careful because this summary of economic projections is not great if you take out the 3 cuts in 2024. This is actually a pretty dang bearish summary of economic projections. Even the 2026 Fed's fund rate projection is 3.1%. Previously, it was 2.9%. So that's a little problematic, but take a look at the range. So this is showing you the low dot and the high dot for all of these columns. Take a look at the federal funds rate, low dot and the high dot. The low dot was 4.4%. And the high dot is 5.4%. So some Fed officials expect no cuts in 2024 at all. Whereas back in December, the low dot was 3.9%. So the low dots got taken higher. So even the most dovish Fed officials have now become a little bit more, quote unquote, hawkish on how high the Fed funds rate is going to have to stay for longer. That's pretty problematic as well. So the initial read of the dot plot, again, I was wrong. I did not expect the Fed to stay at 3 rate cuts. But in fact, I was kind of right at the same time, because if you look at the range of dots, instead of the December projection being the lowest dot of 3.9, the lowest dot was raised to 4.4. So you actually did get more Fed officials becoming more hawkish. It just did not get reflected in the actual projection for rate cuts in 2024, which is very, very, very interesting. Overall, I would say this dot plot is on the hawkish side. It's good for the economy. The Fed thinks the economy is going to be better over the next couple of years. But in terms of rate cuts, yeah, no good news there. And you can actually see that reflected in TLT much better than the markets. TLT, well, look at TLT. I mean, it went straight up and then straight down following this dot plot. So if you're looking at longer term interest rates, something that you would look at if you were valuing Tesla, well, not great. So we'll see where things really hash out here. We're going to have a lot to talk about in the next video. Initial read here, though, is this is not exactly bullish. Guys, I think we're freaking geniuses. I've never been this convinced of an investment based on a 2-minute clip of a video in my entire freaking life. Honestly, this is even surpassing my expectations for the Cybertruck. Now, this clip is incredible, so I'm going to share it with you guys up front and center. This video was released by MKBHD, and a lot of people just pointed out the gap in the door hinge, in which we'll talk about it later. Elon Musk said that issue is fixed. It only affected about 15 different vehicles. But I think the craziest part about this entire video is the beginning of this video, and you'll see why right now. I've literally never been so convinced of an investment based on a 2-minute segment of a video in my entire freaking life.
I have a lot more to say about it and maybe a main channel full review, but I think it's kind of iconic, meaning you either love this or you hate it. And in person, it looks even more cyberpunk, like low poly render than maybe anything on video quite shows. And I'll dig more into the materials and the build quality and panel gaps in just a second, but there's something you should know about living with the Cybertruck, which is that the truck itself is a bit of a celebrity. At least at this moment, especially if you're in a place where there aren't really any others yet, you cannot drive this without getting attention at all. It's the most attention-getting vehicle by a long, long way that I've ever gotten. You drive this thing, people walking past turn around, people driving by literally accelerate to try to get a better video out their side window of you driving by. It's actually kind of dangerous. Like, the way that people behave on the road when they see a Cybertruck and want to go get a video of it is crazy. That's all by itself. This truck also has Sentry mode. You probably already know about Teslas, where you walk up to the truck and it knows and it turns on the recording from the cameras. This truck has hundreds of video clips of people walking up to it and looking inside and just generally interrupting it and draining the battery during the day. It's that popular. So I feel like it's polarizing enough that people either love it or hate it. In real life, I kind of like it. It's really hard to explain why. I think it looks sick in person. It's also dirty. Don't get me started. The roads in New Jersey suck. They're flying away. It's okay.
So I don't know about you guys, but that gets me very excited. A great business starts with a great product. Without a great product, you have no business. Without a great product that attracts attention, it's hard for a great product to be a great product. I think the Cybertruck is capturing all aspects of being a good product, having the attention, and hopefully Tesla can start producing more of these Cybertrucks to get more out on the roads. Now, why is this so exciting to me? It's not just the Cybertruck selling itself that's exciting, but the potential halo effect that we will see for the Tesla brand. If you thought the Model Y halo effect was impressive, the Cybertruck is going to crush the Model Y's halo effect. And this has been multiple years in the planning with Tesla, I believe, to really create a product that will give the brand really a halo effect. I found it interesting that in that clip he said this is by far the most attention he's gotten in a vehicle ever. You could be driving down the road in an $8 million Bugatti and you're gonna have more people looking at you in your $100,000 Cybertruck. That's insane. That's honestly crazy. I mean, for people that have a Cybertruck now, it's probably not the most ideal situation to have everyone looking at you and following you and pulling up next to you to try to record the vehicle. But I guess that's just the consequence of being one of the early owners of the Cybertruck. Now, this halo effect that I've never been more convinced of in my life is the third catalyst out of 10 that I think is not priced into Tesla stock. And now this halo effect will mean the Cybertruck likely gets more pre-orders, but also the rest of the brand, the Tesla ecosystem, does better as well, which is really not priced into the stock at this point. You haven't heard any Wall Street analysts talking about the potential of the halo effect adding to demand, and I think that's something you really have to consider at this point. That could be a big upside catalyst to Tesla stock. And Tesla is doing precisely what they should be doing. Sawyer Merritt says this: why Tesla is giving the opportunity to celebrities to take delivery, no discount of course, of a Cybertruck now, even though other people probably pre-ordered before them, because those celebrities have a combined 1.5 billion followers across all social platforms. Those celebs are posting pics with it. This is free advertising for Tesla, and I think the hope is that it will drive more traffic to Tesla's website, and that those people will see the incredible Model 3 and Model Y pricing and learn more about the cars. This post from Sawyer came after Big Sean recently just took purchase of a Cybertruck, and we'll see if we end up finding this out, but I believe Tesla is giving these celebrities the pre-orders under the condition that they do post about the truck, because everyone that's gotten the truck so far has posted it. So probably that's part of the terms of getting the Cybertruck early. Nonetheless, this has been really a genius move on Tesla's part. Now I think the real question is, how many Cybertrucks can we start to crank out? And here's this post from the Cybertruck official X account. It says, produced over 1,000 Cybertrucks worth of 4680 cells at Giga Texas last week alone. If there is 52 weeks a year, that could be 52,000 Cybertrucks that could be built and sold. Discount that by 50% and you're going to be at Wall Street's target of 25,000 Cybertruck deliveries in 2024. It looks pretty clear if they can develop the batteries at 1,000 Cybertrucks equivalent every week, they're going to beat Wall Street's estimate of 25,000 Cybertruck deliveries in 2024. That's another, albeit small, upside catalyst for Tesla stock. Now, I was initially under the impression that it would take a while to get the Cybertruck halo effect to actually start. This was based off of my presumption of, what MK said. People see the Cybertruck, they look at the Cybertruck, and they search about the Cybertruck and figure out it's a Tesla product. There's no Tesla emblems or anything on it, so people really have to, search about it and then really get into the nooks and crannies of the Tesla brand to find out that it's even a Tesla product anyways. I think that's a genius strategy as well. I don't want to elaborate on that too much, but it really will help drive traffic to the website, long story short. But you may actually be seeing the start of the halo effect right now from the Cybertruck. A lot of this could be due in part from the celebrities, quote unquote, posting about the Cybertruck on Instagram, on Facebook, and other platforms. Take a look at Google Trends data. So Google Trends data is basically exploding for all Tesla models. The Cybertruck is notable. The Cybertruck is seeing a lot of organic search trend activity. Now, I say organic because this is not investors in Tesla that are searching about the Cybertruck like you've seen prior to the launch in November and December and the launch itself. So this was really the last time I think investors searching about the Cybertruck really had an impact on Google Trends activity. And this is when Tesla launched, obviously seeing the biggest spike. And then you fell down to about 18, 19 on Google Trends. Now you've been ramping up basically every single week without a slowdown at all. And now the Cybertruck is at 34, going from last week at 33, now again to 34. You're continuing to see more search trend activity for the Cybertruck, but look at that. The Model Y has recently went from 32 to 35, and the Model 3, really the champ out of all of the Tesla lineup, has went from 37 to 39. You're seeing a ramp up in search trend activity for the entire Tesla brand right now. You can make an argument, maybe it's seasonal, right? As you start to get into warmer weather, maybe people look to, get that new vehicle, and that could make sense. But what you're seeing here is notable, very notable. I think the other question is, when does this actually start to materially affect Tesla's sales? I don't have the answer to that. Maybe it's happening now. Maybe that's why Tesla's raising prices on the Model Y $1,000 in the US and in Europe. Maybe Q1's not all as bad as people think it will be. I just don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And to the clip that we played at the beginning of this video, the MK review of the Cybertruck and this door gap, I didn't play it, but it was next up in the video, right? He basically went right to talking about this flaw with the door gap, and it is large. Elon Musk responds and says about 15 Cybertrucks in service had an issue where the door striker loosened in the field due to insignificant torque after door fit. This takes 5 minutes to fix in service and has been addressed in production. So this should not be an issue anymore, and this is not standard on all Teslas. Now, this is a very fascinating clip to listen to as well. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm listening to Jim Farley talk about this deal they made with Tesla to get access to their supercharger network. Now, there's another thing that stuck out to me here. I'm not going to play the clip because a lot of it's not even important. One thing in particular that stuck out, and I'll talk about that in a second, but here's what Ford CEO Jim Farley said on adopting Tesla's NACS. He said, quote, "Our first charge percent was not competitive with Tesla. It became pretty clear that we could continue to be arrogant, or we could call them and say, we really want to do this. I then personally reached out to Elon Musk." Apparently, the first time they reached out to Elon was years ago. Years ago. He said back in like 2017 or 2019 or whatever year, I think he said 2017 in all fairness, when Ford was the second best-selling EV maker at the time. Today, that is GM. But he said he reached out to Elon then. Well, you know what I find interesting about that is what is being talked about now that we don't know about that is coming in the future. One thing in particular is the licensing deal for FSD. It seems like you're going to be in the same scenario with FSD as you are today with the charging network. Tesla is just so far advanced. It's going to take so many dollars to even try to compete with Tesla's FSD. You're not going to be able to. You're going to have to partner with Tesla for FSD when the market demands products come with FSD. Now, that could take a little bit of time, but inevitably, that means Tesla will be the provider, the seller, the software engineer of full self-driving for likely all vehicles in the US, or a vast majority of them. And I can see that as logically happening in the years to come. Another huge upside catalyst really to profitability, because if you think about it, all Teslas already come with the hardware for FSD. It's just a software update that you get. There's like 100% gross margins on FSD, which is insane. So imagine if you started to see FSD partnerships that could be off the charts. And this really got me thinking last night after I heard Jim Farley say this, and just thinking about what kind of partnerships could be already being talked about. We heard like 3 earnings calls ago that they were in talks with a major OEM to potentially license FSD. We have not heard anything about that since, but these kind of talks do not usually go quickly. But when you look at the progress that FSD is making, there's just no catching up. There's another update coming out to V12 3.1. Elon says it addresses several small annoyances and should start rolling out this weekend. Like there's more progress on FSD in the last 2 months that we have seen in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Really does seem like the end-to-end neural net network that V12 is built off of, 0 lines of code, at least that we know of, is starting to pay off. And we're obviously not there yet where we can say Tesla has conquered full self-driving autonomous vehicles, but you've never been closer than where you are today. Taking 1 step forward and a half step back is better than nothing. And that's exactly what's happened. More like in this case, you have taken 10 steps forward, whereas we were kind of going back and forth with some of the previous like 11.0, 11.2, some of those updates. V12 is almost like a whole new product. U.S. federal prosecutors have accused 2 men of stealing Tesla's trade secrets. A Canadian man who lives in China was arrested today and held in New York after he and a business partner were accused of trying to sell secret battery MFG technology. Sawyer Merritt says new wave of people got FSD Beta 12.3 today, and positive reviews continue to pour in. The progress Tesla will make in the coming months with its compute constraints starting to lift will be huge. FSD Beta 12.3 is the most positively reviewed FSD release ever. And this guy is John Cross, space flight photographer. He has surprisingly like 250,000 followers, so it's not a small account that is making this post. He says Tesla's FSD Beta 12.3 is a leap in self-driving progress, unlike anything the industry has seen. I'm blown away after 2+ hours driving tonight with 0 disengagements. It is arguably Tesla's full self-driving V1.0. He says it's incredibly human-like and has solved every issue I had in V11 and prior builds. No silly lane-changing behavior. Previously impossible roundabouts are now handled with ease, and it's overall very smooth. Pedestrian interactions are careful yet confident. I mean, come on, baby. This is why you're investing in Tesla. Forget what the stock is doing. The stock will catch up to the reality of the business. The stock is priced in a lot of negative. It's not as bad as what the stock looks like it's pricing in. I do think we are geniuses for buying Tesla stock on this dip. Again, given what I've shared with you in this video alone. And I do believe we will be rewarded handsomely for this. But don't judge this stock on the next month or 2 or 3 or 6 or 12 months. You really got to look at Tesla on a 10-year time horizon. If you are investing your money on a less than 3-year time horizon, you're destined to lose money and you should sell anyways. If you need this money that you're investing in the next 3 to 10 years, forget it. Just sell your stock now and get out. You're not doing yourself any favor by investing money that you need in the near term. But if you give this sucker some time to ride, I think you're easily looking at a 10x from today's prices. And even just to put this into a little bit of context, to get a 10x today would send Tesla stock to about $1,173 per share. At all-time highs for Tesla to get a 10x, at, let's call it around $400, you would need Tesla stock at $4,000. So if you were to see a 10x from the highs to 4,000, if that were to happen today, that would be a 40x. Close to a 40x. So if you were bullish on Tesla before and you thought the stock could, in theory, 10x at all-time highs, the stock could 40x from here. And when you look at Tesla purely on a risk to reward kind of basis, I mean, what's the risk here? Tesla falls to 100, Maybe it falls to 80. Who even cares? You're down from 400. Okay, you've already seen a lot of carnage. What are the realistic odds, though, that you fall to 100 or 80? Very low. Things would have to go poorly for Tesla to get down to those prices, in my personal opinion. And the already low expectations, you would have to come in even lower than those. And that doesn't look likely to me. I still think 150 is going to be that bottom, but it really just depends how the markets end up taking Fed Jerome Powell's comments today. That could start a larger correction. You got to give it some time here, obviously, or that could start a huge rally in Tesla. We will go over everything you need to know about our markets coming up next. What in the heck to think about what Powell just said, how that's going to affect Tesla specifically, and my new expectations based on this new information in the next video. But nonetheless, the positive order value from hedge funds and institutions quite bullish today at 67%. So 67% of the dollars going into Tesla options from big money are positive. Only 33% are negative. That's over a 2-to-1 ratio. That's always good to see. But the dollar amount is low today. You have had 287 different trades totaling $50.77 million. So definitely on the low dollar amount. Typically, you can be anywhere from 500 million on a slow day to 4 billion on a really impactful day, or if something happens, right? You could see 4 billion worth of options trades from big money. So today at 50 million, you're on the super low side. Now, as far as Tesla's short interest, you've recently seen shorts take about a $1.3 billion loss from the lows that Tesla stock was just at, in the 160 range. You now have $16.42 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, with 3.5% of all shares currently being sold short. You do have cost to borrow fees down to less than 1% today. That suggests there's not as much shorting activity taking place in Tesla today. On stock twits, there's really not much to talk about. Things are looking a little bit better today on sentiment. Today, you are neutral at 53. Yesterday, you were neutral at 45. Message volume yesterday was normal at 49. Today, it's normal at 45. So sentiment a little bit higher today. Message volume a little bit lower. The participation ratio is at 55, which is high. That just means more accounts are talking about Tesla. And if you're in the market, per se, for Tesla stock to go higher from here, if you don't want the stock to go lower, you want to see the participation ratio as high as possible, because more people talking about Tesla, more accounts talking about Tesla from retail means potentially more retail investors looking to buy the stock. Nonetheless, that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so already. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you guys want to come trade with us, check out that link down below in the description of this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next one.